America.com and the director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. And coming up November the 13th, we have Portland Comedy Film Festival Fall 2022 at the Clinton Street Theater. And if you attend, you're going to see all kinds of films that are 30 minutes or less. And they include everything from comedy, dark comedy, romantic comedy, horror comedy, funny music videos, series pilots, you name it. If it makes you laugh, you are definitely going to see it at the Portland Comedy Film Festival. And we have films from all over the world. One of those films you're going to see is Parents Together Forever. And today to talk about that, we have writer Amy Rich and director Keith Farrell. How are you?
Very good.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you very much for having us on.
Well, good to see you both. And congrats on the award nomination for Best International Director. It's quite a high honor. The judges have a lot of respect for your work.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. I mean, it's an honor and a surprise, if I'm honest. I wasn't expecting it.
Well, it's really funny, and I want to get into it. And you did a great job on this. Your whole team did. And I am bad about getting to the end of the story and revealing way too much. So I'm going to let one of you go ahead and do the synopsis. What is Parents Together Forever about? Amy?
Okay, so it's about a group of parents who get together in an online forum, which is set up by one of the parents. She forgets she's kind of set it up, but that's another story. And so they're all going through lockdown hell together and having to deal with homeschooling. So you've got, and they've all come together and they're all different, completely different characters. You've got one conspiracy theorist. You've got one mum she's shipped her kids off to the grandparents. So she's just making use of lockdown time to sort of, enjoy all the amazing online resources there are. Then you've got one who's having an actual mental breakdown. And the other one is hiding in the downstairs loo because her kids keep asking for more homework. That's it's just all the people coming together who have zero in common, but yeah, they're all parents. That's the one thing they've got in common.
Well, I've got to admit, at some point in time during the lockdowns, I was all of those people. So
exactly.
Well, very funny, and it really captures a certain time in world history. Really, what was it that at least 2, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, where the entire world was depressed just a little bit is what it felt like anyway at the time. To come out of COVID with comedy and to even put a comedy spin on what happened, I believe it's refreshing, and we had a lot of films come out like that. Talk to me, Keith, about your inspirations for doing this film. When you thought about, okay, we're going to try and make light of something that was a very serious moment, but that everyone can relate to. What was your thought process?
Well, it was a funny one actually. We'd shot just before lockdown happened. We'd shot another short film called I've forgotten the name of it. Another Happy Ever After, which was a serious, dark film, and it was about domestic abuse. And we were in edit with that, and then the world ended, and the edit stopped because none of us could go into edit. No one had any idea what was going to happen. And then I got to see. I get this email every day from a website called The Shooting People. It's a UK-based shooting people for creatives just to talk to each other. And there was a message. This was probably around May, June time, Amy, wasn't it? And there was a message saying, I'm looking for someone to read a script. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything else at the moment, so I might as well read the script. So I read it, and I loved it because it was written, so on the moment, because she'd written this script about lockdown that we were, certainly as parents, were all experiencing. We had our kids at home. We weren't doing what our jobs were. We weren't working on our careers, and there seemed to be so many people out there having this great lockdown. They're doing so much. They were learning accountancy, and they were, rebalancing their chakras, and they were all these kind of things. I thought this is something really good. So I got in touch with our producer who'd done Another Happy Ever After with me, and we were like, let's make this short. How will we do it? And yourself as a creative, Michael, you need that something to focus on. And so we were like, by June, they were starting to ease restrictions in the UK. And so we were like, great, what we'll do is we'll shoot in July. And we worked out how we would work it out. And that was, we realized that if we cast actors and they acted in their house, we would be able, and then we put a fixed rate camera in their house, we would be able to shoot this still within the means of staying within UK COVID regulations. And I would stand outside and direct by shouting through the window. And then what happened was Manchester, where I'm based, went into a stricter COVID regulation. So we had to postpone the shoot for 6 weeks. So we eventually got the shoot in late September. We came back to lower restrictions. And we cast all our actors. Basically, the casting call went out. We said, we need actors who are willing to let us shoot in their house. Let us put a camera in their house. Let us do all the rehearsals. They'd have to do all the rehearsals at the house. And their house would become a character as much as they are characters in the film. And we actually had quite a lot of actors weren't working as well at the time, as you can imagine. So we got actually a lot of really good actors come in, and we worked. And from the start, I worked closely with Amy about, we tweaked the script to make things work. We ran out actors by Amy to see what she thought in terms of her creative process, what she liked, what she didn't like. We then did a kind of a Zoom rehearsal with them all, and Amy was on that. And then ultimately, over the course of a weekend, we shot in each of the actors' houses, roughly for about 5 to 6 hours. They stepped out of their own house. We took over their house. We put the camera in. We cleaned everything down. We stepped out again, put the microphones in, and we actually had 2 cameras. We used 2 cameras and set up, and then we would shoot. And I would shoot directions through their window at them. So I had a monitor, and I would go left, go right, go up, go down. And then they would all have to step out again, because we go outside the world of Zoom, to get shots of what they're doing. And then we would go back out and refill, get them step outside their house, reposition the camera again, and then shoot again. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but it was good. I think it was a really good experience. And I generally don't do comedies, so it was really nice to make a comedy. And the script, like when I read Amy's script, that's what I was just like, this is so funny. This is so good. I had to make it. I really did have to make it,
All right, Amy. So how much of this was you, and how much of this was friends, and how much of this was just made up? How did you just come up with this whole process?
It was all me. All of those characters were me in my head. Like you say, weren't we all of them? It's like, you get sucked into all of these different sort of answers that you think, COVID sort of poses all these questions, and you're watching the news, you're looking online, and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, maybe, it did come from bats. Maybe it is. It's just like, didn't we all go kind of crazy and depressed, and like it was just so many emotions. And so all of those characters kind of were part of me, because it's kind of a conversation in your head that you're having, with all this, when you've got all this time on your hands and living through lockdown. It's and I just wanted to kind of like present those different characters and sort of give them a voice. And it's like, they're all completely reasonable, I think. It's like, I know there's a conspiracy theorist there, but even like, there's something in that you sort of can easily get sort of drawn down that route. And I just think, I don't know, who knows what's real and what's not, and who knows what lies were being fed. Oh my God, I'm sounding like the conspiracy theorist. I'm not. But I just wanted to have that kind of conversation. It's a mad time, and all these people, like Keith said, doing amazing things in lockdown, and like, when you're a parent, you're just like trying to get to the end of the day, and it just, and another day, just trying to get to bedtime with your sanity still intact. And it was a lot.
It was a tough time, and there's a fine line between asking questions that don't, about things that don't make sense, and a conspiracy theory would be like, oh, the government, just did this to everyone. But to ask the questions like, why are we washing our groceries, when they come back from the store? I think that's a reasonable question. And I think people were freaked out at the time. And I'll never forget, I would walk I guess my son was maybe 3.5, 4 years old at the time. And we'd walk to the park, and they had, yellow police tape all around the monkey bars and the swings. And it's kind of like, okay, who's the crazy person? Is it me? Or I mean,
Yeah.
even at the worst of any pandemic, I'm not afraid to put my kid on the swings.
Mm.
So there were times that we had to deal with all this. I'll never forget my wife and I just doing an unbelievable job on our garden because we had so much time on our hands, and everyone was in the pressure cooker, at the time. So it's interesting to see, how you came up with these things and how you're able to channel that energy into comedy and channel that energy into a specific time. And I think we'll be looking back at this time 10 years from now being, man, the world was crazy back then. Like,
Mhm.
what was happening? So very insightful there. On a technical level, Keith, you did talk about that, obviously in the last question, but is there anything, you look back and you say, I really learned this certain lesson that I'm going to always, I'm going to carry this learning experience forward into my entire career? What is it about this shoot that
Yeah,
maybe
I
you
mean, it was a technical challenge because we were doing something that was completely new. No one, I mean, people had done, used their iPhones to shoot films, and people had used their their camera on their laptops shoot films, or using webcams. So we, from the start, said, right, we want to have a professional quality camera in there, but the problems we had is we can't really use a traditional focus puller and follow focus because the distance away from the camera that we might have to be. So we got in touch with a production house in Manchester, and we kind of brainstormed ideas with them. We came up with the idea of this fixed rig camera that we created, but the actor could actually lift and carry themselves if they needed to. So it had to be light enough for the actor to move if they wanted. Now, the only one who really moves it is the Steve character, but it had to be light enough, but it had to be high enough quality camera to be able to project on the big screen. You know what I mean? So that was one of the first step. That was one of the technical challenges. The other one, of course, was getting, we couldn't touch the actors, so we couldn't radio mic them. So how do we boom up? So our boom up, using our sound guy, we're using kind of hidden microphones on the set to record the sound, and so so we had a few other challenges like that. Actually, he also was able to boom up by opening windows and doors. He was able to boom up, boom from outside in, keeping the 2 meter gap. So those were kind of the technical challenges. And of course, finding, the thing is, while we're filming in actors' homes, we had to find a right actor. So it was really weird. You're almost casting twice. One of the call out for the Steve character was comedy actor wanted, based in the north of England, must own a shed. Because we needed to be able to shoot in their garden and shoot in their, so it was good. And we were very lucky that, with some real quality actors put their name forward and auditioned for the role. And I think we were really lucky. The cast we got were really strong. And they don't meet. They never meet, don't forget. They're all recorded separately. And yet the dynamism between them is exceptional. You'd swear they were on the Zoom call together. None of them, apart from the rehearsals, none of them ever met. Until we had the public screening. Yeah.
That's an incredible story. That's incredible. Yeah. Well, let's get into I'll stay with you, Keith, on this one. Let's get into what you're working on in the future. What's next for you?
So I've I'm actually in Ireland right now. I'm back in my native city of Dublin. I'm making a 3-part docudrama series on the Irish Civil War. So it's definitely not a comedy. And then I'm starting shooting a feature film in the new year, a horror. So again, not a comedy, in the middle of next year. But I've got to be honest with you. I would love to go back and do another comedy because I really enjoyed it. So I'm just no pressure, Amy. Just waiting for that feature film comedy whenever you're ready.
Well, that's great. Exciting stuff. What about you, Amy? What are you working on next?
I'm in development on a short animation, and I've just finished writing a 30-minute pilot episode for a sci-fi children's drama, and some more genres. Chuck a few more genres in there.
All right, I like it. I like it with children again, and that's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, exciting times. It was great to get to know both of you. I can't wait to show this film at the festival. It makes our judges look good to pick good stuff that makes people laugh. I wish you could be there. I know it's a long distance and the other side of the world, basically. But hopefully, when things are better in 2023, we could meet at a future event. and you never know with all this great content that it sounds like you have on deck. And we don't just do comedy. We have, festivals. We have the Oregon Screams Horror Film Festival. We've got Austin After Dark Film Festival. We've got other festivals that screen different content, but maybe we'll see you at one of those. But at Portland, it's all about the laughs. That's pretty much the top criteria, is just like, is it making you laugh? It doesn't matter if it was on a phone or filmed on a phone or filmed with amazing cameras. It's all we want to do is have our crowd laughing for hours and hours. So we're excited to do the event, and I appreciate you taking the time today. Is there anything you wanted to add before we go?
Michael, look, firstly, yeah, thank you very much, and thanks all the judges at the Portland Comedy Film Festival for selecting our film. When we made this little film in lockdown, we didn't really know what was going to happen with it, and it's an honor to have been selected at a prestigious festival like yourself, and to be nominated at a prestigious festival like your one, because without it's you guys that give us the I suppose you'd call it the inspiration to keep going. That there is people out there who like our work.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Well, I appreciate your time today. We'll see you around.
Take care. Thank you.
All right.